In a land where empires rise and fall by the sword, one man had nothing but a plow in his hands. Yet kings trembled at his name, generals whispered about him in fear, and armies that crushed nations could not touch him. This is the story of the farmer who defeated an empire without ever lifting a weapon. Long ago, in a fertile valley surrounded by mountains and rivers, there lived a young farmer named Oba. Oba's land was small, his tools simple, and his neighbors often mocked him. What can a single farmer do against an empire? They laughed. The empire of Zaruma, vast and cruel, had conquered every neighboring kingdom. Its armies were endless, its generals ruthless, and its emperor obsessed with power. Every village feared their march, every village except Oba's. Oba, though poor, had a mind sharp as a blade. He observed the seasons, the rivers, the winds, and the movements of the empire's patrols. He noticed patterns others ignored. He saw that the empire's strength lay not only in soldiers, but in its arrogance. They believed no one without an army could harm them. And so, Oba began to prepare, not for war with weapons, but with strategy, patience, and the land itself. One day, a messenger arrived from Zaruma. The emperor demanded tribute, crops, gold, and obedience. Villages surrendered without resistance, but Oba did something unexpected. He invited the messenger to his farm and offered him food and shelter. But while the empire expected fear, they found only calm. Oba smiled and said, "Take nothing today, for tomorrow I may have more, or less. But know this, the land here belongs to those who respect it." The messenger laughed, but returned to the emperor with a report. "A farmer dares to speak as if he owns the valley. He is nothing. He is a pebble in the path of our empire." The emperor laughed too, but something in his gut whispered unease. Oba's plan was simple but brilliant. He used the very land the empire sought to conquer as his weapon. He built channels and terraces in secret, diverting rivers and flooding plains during the dry season. He planted crops that could survive droughts and stored surplus grains in hidden pits. Then, he trained the villagers, not with swords, but with knowledge, reading the stars, predicting rains, tracking enemy patrols, and communicating silently through signals in the fields. Every villager became an invisible soldier, every field a fortress. When Zaruma's army marched, expecting an easy conquest, they found roads washed away by floods, bridges collapsed, and crops gone from the open fields. Hunger gnawed at their troops, and disease spread in their camps. Generals were baffled. "How can this happen?" they cried. "A single village has destroyed our advance." Oba did not fight. He outsmarted them at every turn. The emperor, enraged, decided to lead the army himself. He arrived with thousands of soldiers, confident that no farmer could resist an army of steel. Oba met him in the valley, not with weapons, but with a smile. "You seek to conquer my land," he said. "Then walk it carefully." Over the next weeks, the emperor's army found itself trapped in marshes, diverted into barren mountains, and cut off from food and water. Every attempt to take Oba's village failed, not because of swords, but because Oba knew the land better than anyone, and patience was his greatest weapon. The empire's fear grew. Soldiers whispered about Oba in the night. "The farmer sees all. The farmer plans everything. The farmer is everywhere." Finally, the emperor realized the truth. No army could conquer a people united, clever, and patient. No amount of steel could stand against a mind that wielded knowledge like a weapon. Oba sent a simple message to the emperor: "Leave our valley in peace, and you may still call yourself a ruler. Stay, and the land itself will be your enemy." The emperor, humbled and terrified, withdrew. Zaruma never returned to the valley. Oba's farm remained untouched, and his people thrived. The empire feared one farmer more than all their generals combined. Oba's story spread across the lands. Kings and emperors began to respect the strength of wisdom, patience, and unity. He taught that courage isn't always loud, and power isn't always shown by swords. Villagers built schools and shared knowledge. Farmers became heroes, and empires learned a vital lesson. True strength comes from strategy, knowledge, and the land itself. Oba never sought glory. He tilled his fields, watched the rivers, and smiled, knowing he had changed the world without ever shedding blood. So remember this: even if the world thinks you are small, weak, or powerless, one mind, one plan, and one heart aligned with the land can move mountains and topple empires. The empire feared one farmer, but the world feared what that farmer could teach them about courage, patience, and wisdom. True power lies in knowledge, patience, and strategy. Bravery isn't always fighting, it's outsmarting impossible odds. One person can change the world without weapons,